just may be too glamorous for color. Oh, I lost a rhinestone on my eye. Well, hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14, Episode 13. And I don't know about you, but at this point, this season's been going on so long, I would love them just to end it with a last queen standing paint gun fight. Anyone else? Just me? Now, before we get started, I need to send some shout-outs. First of all, Quang K on YouTube, who lost her father to liver cancer 2 years ago after caring for him in his final months. I love you, Quang, and I am so touched that you were able to find some joy and escape watching my videos. Seriously, you're a sweetheart. I also want to send a shout-out to Matt M on YouTube, who commented on how much Bosco reminded him of Annie Lennox. Look at that. I have to admit, I thought the same thing when I was editing last week's review. Let's hope Bosco knows who Annie Lennox is and that maybe she'll come down that runway in a fabulous suit before this season's over. And if you baby queens out there don't know who Annie Lennox is, oh, not only can we not be friends, I weep for our future generations. I'm just saying. Of course, I have to thank this week's Tipperdoos, Elizabeth Mink, who wanted to shoot me a little extra, sounds dirty, for the joys she says I bring her in life. It's my pleasure, Elizabeth, and thanks for watching. Also, April Holden out in the UK wanted to celebrate her new job by sending me a little something something. Thank you so much, April, and congratulations on that new job. Of course, well, I couldn't thank my Tipperdoos without thanking my Tipperdoo boyfriend, Vito. I love you, Vito. Seriously. Lastly, I want to welcome Emma Walkley to the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, where we have 2 live Zoom chats a month. I'm just saying. I look forward to seeing you at the next one, Emma. If you'd like to support me and my channel on Patreon or by becoming a Tipperdoo, the links for all of that are down below. Seriously. Okay. Now, on to the more important things. Jorge, drink me. Ooh, the same drink, different glass. I like how you change it up, Jorge. I'm just going to tell you. The pink pucker. Tequila, pink lemonade, a little blender, and a whole lot of love is all I'm saying. Okay, let's get into this episode. Because Bosco had the golden Ru bar, there's no one to say bye to this week. Again. Ugh. You know, there's been a lot of chatter on the interwebs about the rigor mortis around this Ru bar, and I have to say, who cares? Would I rather it been more random and someone like, I don't know, June Jambalaya, do you remember June Jambalaya, getting it in the first couple of weeks? No, I wouldn't have enjoyed that. Would there have been less supposition if someone like Carrie had got it a few weeks ago? Who can say? My only interest is in the fact that it's finally been taken out of the equation. In fact, I'm looking forward to the goops and gags around Ru's inevitable double sachet, which some feel is the next Trip Up Productions sleeve. But I digress. As far as the queens were concerned, Bosco was understandably relieved to be saved, but the other queens had their own reactions to the golden Ru bar no longer being in play. Mostly that the idea of a save was no longer in the cards for anyone. Georges, for one, was not happy. She was just itching to have more of these queens go home, and if she was going to be the lip-sync assassin to do it, she was okay with that. Good for Georges. Of course, Lady Camden was congratulated for her second win, and maybe, because of her recent save, Bosco and LC seemed able to bury the hatchet regarding their little tiff over the Rusical roles. Here's to harmony in the workroom once again, just saying. The next day, the queens officially crowned Georges as this season's lip-sync assassin, even though Ru thought Deja had the potential for that title after that first lip-sync of the season. Do you remember that lip-sync? No, me either, because it was months ago. But before Deja could defend her lip-sync abilities, there was Ru with a guest, the president of Anastasia Beverly Hills, Norvina, with this week's mini challenge. And what a mini challenge it was, seriously. The queens were going to get a chance to paint Ru's face. Oh, of course, I immediately thought Ru had pissed off another makeup artist and that Raven had packed her kit and walked out. But that wasn't the case. What the queens were actually going to do was paint a recreation of the Gus Cuddy RuPaul and Dolly mural that's in Asheville, North Carolina, with a larger-than-life recreation of the ABH Norvina Volume 5 Lilac palette. Well, somebody put a lot of thought into this mini challenge, is all I'm saying. I have to say, I was impressed with this mini challenge. What a great way to get the queen's artistic juices flowing and plug a sponsor. Sounds dirty. The queens had to split up into two groups. Team 1 was Deja, Georges, and Angeria, and they got to paint Rue's face, while Team 2, Elsie, Willow, Deja, and Bosco, got to paint Dolly's. With only 30 minutes to complete the task, the queens got right down to it. This was a lot harder than it looked. First off, the giant Norvina palette was filled with wet paint. I don't know why I thought it'd be powders. It's all I've ever gotten out of a Norvina palette, I'm just saying. Secondly, some of the brushes were ridiculous, or at least the one Georges chose. Lastly, it seemed like everyone's artistic temperaments got left in the workroom. I'm so serious. Deja kept going on about how hard it was going to be for Mural Rue to breathe through the cinched nose she was giving her. Personally, I thought the reason Mural Rue wouldn't be able to breathe was because Deja had transformed that nose into a pair of tits. And we all know you can't breathe through nose tits. You want proof? When Rue and Norvina returned to judge the painting, you could tell Rue was judging the painters. That's when I knew someone from Team 1 was going to sashay tonight. Hey, I wasn't wrong. Needless to say, Team 1's Dolly won. Dolly always wins. Why bet on anyone else? Seriously. And then it was time for the Maxi challenge, a good old-fashioned roast, and this week's guest of honor was going to be Ross Matthews. Because Team 1 won the mini challenge, they got to assign the running order for the roast. Ooh. Georges was beyond worried about this challenge. Who else was surprised? Anyone? I have to say, these challenges are always bittersweet for me. If you don't have a sense of humor, no challenge is going to create it for you. It's so hard to watch someone fail at a roast challenge, like so many do, but when they succeed, it is the best moment on TV. As I've said before, I'd fail at this challenge. Even though I have a history of doing stand-up, it takes a special hand to write a scathing commentary on someone and still make it funny. So, right away, my heart went out to Georges, bless her heart. As the queens got down to it, more than a couple of them were worried. Deja, Angie, and Deja, to name a few. Deja didn't want to be first or last. Angie wanted a middle spot, and, well, Georges wanted to go second. Go figure. I guess she just wanted to get it over with quickly. The winning team got to sorting out the running order. Elsie wanted Saltine. Bosco wanted to go first, which I'll admit worried me. I was getting memories of her wanting the lead last week vibes. Willow wanted to follow Georges because, as she said, she was sure she would do a better job than Georges. No one argued with her. Camden worried about going last. In true Deja fashion, she told Elsie to go sixth and put Deja last. She's such a warm heart, that Deja. When the shuffling was finished, the final running order for the roast was Bosco, Georges, Willow, Angie, Deja, Deja, and Camden bringing up the rear. Everyone seemed happy with that. As the queens got down to writing, Willow had some trouble creating her material. She ran a few of her ideas past Elsie and Angie. She should have run faster. All the queens agreed that Deja is fun in the workroom, but that doesn't mean she can be funny when she needs to be. When she tried out some of her actual material, suddenly, the other queens weren't so worried. PU is what I'm saying. Bless. Thankfully, the queens got to workshop their ideas with Michelle and stand-up comedian and Daily Show correspondent Dulce Sloan. Bosco was first and sadly wasn't very funny off the top. What was even sadder was both the coaches telling her that to her face. Well, at least they were honest. Dulce had the best line of the night when she said, "Make this place Boston Market and roast." For a self-proclaimed shady bitch and a queen who chose to go first after being picked by all the other queens to go home last week, Bosco needed to bring it. Seriously. Willow was next, and she did no better, bless her heart. Every one of her ideas took a long and winding road to get to the punchline. Hey, at least she had them. Dulce used one of my favorite phrases, which is economy of words. Seriously. Angie was next. She started out loud and proud, but there weren't many laughs at first. She warmed up after a hot minute, but her best asset was her personality. It seemed to be big enough for her to hide behind. For a little while, anyway. Deja was next. She pointed out all of her difficulties with the challenge, and Dulce was quick to shut her down. No one wants to know what she doesn't have. Thankfully, for Deja's sake, her material actually got funnier as she went along. Here's to Deja. Well done. Keep trying. Deja was next, which was too bad, especially since the biggest critique she got was to write funnier jokes. LC was next and killed it with her material about Michelle's dancing skills, but when she got to her roasting Ross, it started to fall apart, bless her heart. Georges was next and distracted the judges by complimenting them, which is good because her jokes didn't distract them at all, mostly because she hadn't written that many, and the ones she did weren't just unfunny, but they didn't make much sense. Rule of thumb, if you have to explain it, it's not funny. Seriously. This clearly affected Georges because back in the workroom, she all but admitted defeat to the other queens. Clearly she'd given up, bless her. Funny or not, suddenly it was elimination day. Elsie was feeling her oats as she prettied up due to her fairly successful rehearsal with Michelle and Dulce. Bosco was also feeling confident, but, mind you, she was feeling pretty confident about her performance in the musical too, bless. Georges was still worried, but it seemed she was okay about her imminent defeat, probably because she was relying on her lip-sync skills to save the day. Why wouldn't she? And then it was showtime. Rue looked ethereal in her glittery, translucent caped gown. Michelle was looking fabulous in formal. Ross was in a sparkly jumper. And Dulce Sloan was gorgeous in a rainbow animal print. Grr. Bosco went first, and she killed it. Her best line was, "You're not a top, you're a blouse." I love that. I thought it was gold. Georges was next. She started out strong, but her nerves got the better of her. If she hadn't had to rely on her notes, it would have gone smoother. She got some good ones in, but got a little tongue-tied by the end of it all, bless her. Willow went next. She did a great job too, but she didn't kill it. Angeria was next. She also did a good job until she got to Ross, and then, well, her jokes kind of petered out, bless her. Deja was next. She didn't suck, but she took too long to get to the point that I forgot what the hell we were doing there in the first place. No offense. Deja was next, and the funniest thing about her set was, well, that she laughed at it. Plus, what was she wearing? I'm glad Ross heckled her. So was she, because Deja could see she was bombing. Oof. LC closed the show, thankfully, because she killed it. I don't know if it was the hateful things she was saying in that beautiful accent, but I laughed out loud more than a couple of times during her set. I will say this, she started stronger than she finished, bless. And then it was time for the runway. Category is Tutu Much. Bosco went first in a buzzsaw tutu. This was still her panties and corset look, but the gruesomeness of it all was refreshing. Fingerdoo for Bosco. Georges was serving biker ballerina, and, well, not an original look. She wore it well, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Willow's queen bitch tutu was stunning. The wig, the gown, the plastic surgery. This was one of my faves of the night, so I had to give Willow a Fingerdoo. Seriously. Angeria's multi-tiered dress was the furthest thing from a tutu on that runway, but she looked so good in it, I gave her a Fingerdoo. I loved Deja's runway and the fact that she didn't fall off those heels. Fingerdoo for Deja. Deja looked more prom than tutu, but I didn't hate it, so I gave her a Fingerdoo as well. As the only dancer in the group, LC was the only one who wore a true tutu, and she looked stunning. Fingerdoo for Lady Camden. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. Bosco was first. Ross loved her roast. Michelle thought she smashed it, and Dulce loved her runway. Good night to be Bosco. Georges was next, and Michelle loved her runway mostly because it reminded her of Madonna. Ross thought her roast was weak despite her energy, and Rue asked her if she had had fun. Georges admitted that she hadn't. Ru could tell. Willow was an obvious fave of the judges. Ross thought she started strong on the roast. Michelle loved her runway. So did Ru. It was a good night to be Willow, too, just gonna say. And Jerry was next, and although she wasn't the best in the roast, Michelle loved her confidence. Dulce loved her runway. So she should. I don't know why they hated that color. Dulce also loved Daya's runway. As for Ross, she hated that Daya admitted that she was nervous off the top. Michelle said her delivery took too long. Is she still on stage? Deja was next, and Michelle hated the fit of her runway. Dulce felt that Deja didn't listen to the notes Michelle and she had given her, which wasn't a good thing after such a mediocre performance. Seriously. Last but not least was Lady Camden. Ross said she had a strong start in her roast. Michelle loved her runway and the fact that she went with glamour hair as opposed to a classic ballerina bun. And yes, ballerina buns was my drag queen name in high school. Back in the Untucked Lounge, Deja was sure she would be lip-syncing, but her bigger worry was that she insulted Dulce and Michelle by not taking their advice. It was an emotional revelation for Deja, to be sure. More emotional than that was the idea that she would be lip-syncing against Georges, which, well, none of them wanted. Georges, on the other hand, was just relieved to be on the other side of that roast. It was obviously one of her biggest worries as far as challenges went. Of course, Lady Camden got a huge congrats from the queens, not only for her performance, but also for her gorgeous runway. So they should. Willow was another one who was pleased with how she did in the roast. At least I think that's what she said. It was hard to understand anything she was saying with those Amanda Lepore sofa cushions on her face, I'm just saying. And then, without warning, there was Willow's family with a video message of love and support. To say Willow got emotional is an understatement. Well, I'm guessing that she got emotional because her face literally didn't move. Those are just prosthetics, right? To lighten the workroom mood, Dulce surprised the queens with a very short but sweet visit where she took the time to remind the queens that regardless of how it all went down on the main stage, they should be very proud of themselves because, well, they made it here over so many other queens who've applied. Well said, Dulce, seriously. That's how you support a queen, I just think. Back on the main stage, it was announced that this week's winner was, surprise, surprise, Bosco. Here's to the one everyone said should have gone home last week. That's how you do it. Landing in the bottom was Deja and Georges. And gag of gags, Daya. And then the other size 14 dropped as Ru said only one of them would be shantaeing and two would sashay away. What did I say? What did I say? Must be psychic. Deja may have been the only queen actually called a lip-sync assassin by RuPaul, but Daya killed that lip-sync. Ru thought so too because she told Daya to shantae and, gasp, Georges as well as Deja to sashay away. I was shocked. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was going to miss both Deja and Georges. But still, 2 more queens out. Whew. And just like that, we're down to 5 queens. What did you think? Did 3 queens deserve to be in the bottom? Did the right 2 queens go home? And how about Bosco's win? Did she really outdo Willow? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And please share this video with anyone you think is as big a Drag Race fan as we are. Seriously, just doing those 3 things helps me out more than you know. We just passed the 8,000 subscriber mark. I'd love to reach 10,000 by summer. If you'd like to help out even more, please check out the links in the description box down below to become a Fingerdoo, join the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, or to get some fabulous Wilma merch on my Redbubble page. And until next week, miss me! Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. I knew there was going to be a double sachet, but I didn't expect it this week or like that. I mean, no offense to Deja or Georges, but I didn't see either of them making top 4. Plus, the competition this season is so strong. Oh, there are queens going home that normally would have made top 4 on any other season. I'm so serious. at least they can both be happy that they won a challenge. I mean, Deja won the coveted Snatch game, and Georges won that Glamazon Prime Unconventional Materials Challenge, despite some people's opinions. I mean, now I'm not even sure who's going to make top 4. I mean, Bosco's got 3 wins, Angie and Camden have 2, Daya's got a win, and Willow is just getting stronger and stronger each week. I can't even pick one to go home. Maybe they'll bring the top 5 into the finale. I hope not. Oh, I really don't.